Okay, chapter 139, Siman Kuf Lamed Tes. Chapter 139.
139?
Yeah, 139. Chapter 139. What's the page number? Anyone has it?
Which section was it?
We're going to start from the beginning just to review.
It's volume 2.
Volume 2, yeah. 939. Page 949. 949. Okay, so as usual, we're going to start with a quick review. And then, in Mitzvah Shem, we're going to finish up. The goal is to finish up the chapter. Does anybody remember what time frame the miracle of Hanukkah happened? First base of Migdash, second base of Migdash, second base of Migdash. Yep, very good. What was the main miracle while we celebrate Hanukkah? That's one of them. But we found only one, and there was enough from that one for 8 entire days. Now there's an incredible sikh of the Rebbe, because seemingly we find in Chumash and Rashi, we find by Sari Meinu and Rivka also, that when they would light Shabbos candles, it would actually last from Shabbos to Shabbos. So we find a very similar miracle by the lights that Sarah and Rivka lit. So what's so special about Ner Chanukah? Just because it lasted from 7 days to 8 days? Okay, so there's a whole long discussion. We'll leave it on the side for now. And also, there's another miracle that happened on Hanukkah. He said, Masat Rabim biyad ma'atim, that Hashem gave over a big, mighty army in the hands of a small army of the Maccabees. So this itself, the very fact that we won the war, that itself is also one of the miracles. But the main miracle that we celebrate on Hanukkah is the very fact that we were able to find one jug of pure olive oil that still had the seal of the Kohen Gadol. And there was a miraculous event that not only were you able to light for one day, but it takes 8 days to refuel, so to speak, to get more pure olive oil. And Hashem made a miracle that it lasted for 8 days. Now, what's very interesting is, the halacha is that if you have nothing which is pure, you are allowed to use something which is impure. Right? If something, the only way for you to do the mitzvah, in this case, is with impure oil, that's all you have, you are allowed to do that. So the miracle is so great that Hashem didn't allow all of the oil to become impure. This is such a great miracle because it represents, as we mentioned the first share in the first class, that the shaman with the Chesed and the Kohen Gadol goes on the pnimius, it goes on the etzem of a yid, of a Jew. And such a level, no matter what, it's not possible for it to become impure. So I'm saying just something to ponder, that we all have a neshama. You have to realize how special it is, how powerful it is, that no matter what, at the core essence of who you are, you're a Jew. And this is unbreakable. You have a neshama, this is completely one with Hashem, that no tumah in the world can ever take that away. It's a powerful, very, very powerful lesson that we have. Okay, the second halacha, do we fast on Hanukkah? Nobody likes to fast anyways, right? But for those who like to fast, you don't do it on Hanukkah. Also, if somebody, was nifter, we don't do haspedim, but you're allowed to do it before or after. Are you allowed to do work, malacha, on Hanukkah? Yeah? There's a machine here, the people turn on and off the lights. Now there is a custom, as we mentioned, that how did you light the Menorah? Everyone lit by themselves, or one person did for everyone? One for everyone, okay. And you did it where you eat or in the dorm?
I mean, we eat and then we eat in the
It's one building. Okay.
Yeah, and then we ate like upstairs last night.
Okay, so it's the same thing.
So not everyone's in there.
One person. Okay. Fire hazard, probably.
So it's worse.
Yeah, it's a fire hazard. Yeah. So as mentioned, some malacha is permitted on Hanukkah. Now there is a special minhag that Bnei Yisrael, the Jewish ladies, accepted upon themselves not to do malacha in front of the candles while they're lit. This doesn't include not being on your phone and stuff like that. It means not to do anything which is strenuous, not because there's a special miracle connected to Bnei Yisrael. What kind of oil is acceptable for the menorah? Anyone remember? Best is olive oil, yeah. And if I don't have olive oil, what could I do? Something that burns clear, yeah. All shmanim, all of the oils are acceptable for the menorah. The preferred one is the one that burns the clearest, that it gives off the best flame. This actually includes a ner shel shaiva from wax. This is also acceptable because even though it's not oil, but it gives off a very good and pure light. All the psilos, all of the wicks are also acceptable. What's the best? Remember, what's the best? Cotton. Yeah, the best wick is cotton. Very good. Okay, if somebody has a menorah made out of earthenware, of clay, let's say, what's the halacha? Can you use it all the time? Can you use it only once? Can you use it twice? Once. To use it only once, and after you used it once, not to use it anymore, because after you burn something in a keli, which is made out of earthenware, out of clay, it's not as nice as it used to be. Therefore, out of respect for the mitzvah, it's preferred not to use it. It's brought down that one should have a menorah made out of metal, any type of metal. It's included in this glass. Glass is also good. And somebody who is able to, somebody who has the means, there's a tremendous hidden mitzvah to get a menorah made out of silver. It's not absolutely not a must. It's just brought down that this is a hiddur. Okay. How many candles do we light throughout Chanukah? This is easy. That's it, and so on and so forth. That's right. No, because the reason why it's a question is because, strictly speaking, if you light one each night, you fulfill the mitzvah. That is the mitzvah, strictly speaking. And as we mentioned in the first class, that this is this tremendous uniqueness of Hanukkah, that on Hanukkah, every single Jew does a mitzvah on the same level of Mahadrin min Mahadrin, the absolute best way to do the mitzvah. Every Jew fulfills it on such a level. And the funniest thing is, they don't even know. They don't even realize that there's another way to do it. They only know the best of the best.
How this mitzvah keep so long with everyone doing?
What do you mean?
How this mitzvah, like everyone do Shabbat?
How do you do it on Shabbat?
No, I mean, a lot of people do it, right?
How do people keep this mitzvah over other mitzvot? Oh, that's a very good question. So, yeah. Why Hanukkah? Over other mitzvahs? That's the question?
This one makes sense for long years.
That's a very good question. So it's actually brought down. If you look in the Mishnayos, you'll barely see anything about Hanukkah. There's two places in Teresh Shabbat Peh where you find the mitzvah of Hanukkah. One is in the Gemara. It's not even mentioned in the Mishnayos in the previous sources. It's only in the Gemara. And one time it's mentioned in a side point in the Mishnayos, if somebody lit the menorah in the store and it caused damage, is he liable to pay for it? That's the only time. Can you imagine? Hanukkah is such a big deal. It's it's such a big deal, and the only time you mention it is such a side point that if somebody's menorah caused damage to somebody, who is obligated to pay? Does that make any sense? That's the only time it's mentioned in the entire Mishnayos. So the Rebbe has an incredible explanation. How could it be? Hanukkah is such a miracle. You have Purim, you have a whole Masechta, you have a whole tractate called Masechta Megillah, discussing all of the laws of Purim, all of the laws of Megillah. When it comes to Hanukkah, you have nothing. Barely a mention. Zeicher is nothing. So the Rebbe has a tremendous explanation. Why is that? The Rebbe explains in the beginning, why did they even have to write down Mishnayos? Before the Mishnah was compiled, everything was transmitted orally. It was all Baal Peh. Everyone remembered it in the memory, and it was transmitted. It's called the oral Torah because it was not written down. So why do they have to write it down? Everything we have now, we're learning now Torah Baal Peh. Now there's no such thing as people remembering it, everything offhand. Everything is in the books. The reason for that is, the Rebbe says, not this. The reason why it was written down is because people started to forget. People started to forget. Hanukkah was never forgotten. Hanukkah was such a strong and powerful miracle. Hanukkah was never forgotten. It didn't have to be written down.
Wow.
It was such a miracle. It didn't have to be written down. So that's why all these generations, Yom Tovim, it's going to be much easier to give somebody a Hanukkah menorah than something else.
Wow.
There's such a special koyach in Hanukkah that we don't find by other things, and we see every Jew does it equally. Every Jew does it in the absolute highest level. So I hope that answers the question.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, so if in a case where everyone is lighting, so again, over here, you mentioned the seminary, one person lights for everyone, but in a case where everyone lights on their own, so it's important to make sure that the lights there's a distance between each person's lights. There should be a heker that one is doing one mitzvah, the second set of candles is a separate mitzvah. There shouldn't be all one big cholent, as they say. Okay, where do we light the menorah? Inside.
In the entrance of the house.
Oh, so if you look in the earlier sources, it's brought down. You have to do it outside. Nobody does that. In Eretz Yisrael, in Yerushalayim, some changed back to doing it outside, but the common custom is still to do it on the inside. Why is that? Anyone remember? If it's persimmons, it should be on the outside, seemingly. So the whole world should see.
Because they will have a
Oh, so halachically, because back in the day there was a sakana, there was a danger to light on the outside. Therefore, they did it on the inside. Today, depends where you are. Some places it's still a sakana. Here, more or less, depends on the neighborhood. It's not so simple. Some places it's safe, some places it's not safe. But even in the places where it's safe, we still don't light on the outside. Why is that?
Because we're lighting our cell phone.
Oh, exactly. The Rebbe explains when it comes to Hanukkah, there's another special lesson that we learned from Hanukkah, that in order to have the koyach to light another Jew, to light the neshama of another Jew, you can't do it unless you yourself are, your own neshama is not lit yet. So Hanukkah is a time to ignite the spark of your neshama in your house and in the members of your household. Once you have it, then you can go out and to ignite other Yidin's neshama.
But if anybody comes to Tzfat during Hanukkah, we take you on a tour of the Hanukkah soon. Everybody needs lights on.
Everyone in Tzfat, everyone is outside? Except for Chabad.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah. Now, where is the best place to put the menorah? Left side of the door. How high? How low? Anyone remember? Oh, yeah. 3 tefachim. Oh, yeah. So it should be tefachim. Yeah, it should be at least 3 tefachim. Each one tefach is 8 centimeters, so at least 24 centimeters high. Within 10 tefachim, between 3 and 10 tefachim, this is the best place. If you did lower, if you did higher, after the fact, the mitzvah is still a valid mitzvah. And as mentioned, it should be on the left side of the door. The reason for that is because you'll have the mezuzah on the right and you'll have the menorah on the left. What happens? Oh, yeah.
And you said that the height is measured, it could be measured according to the menorah itself,
Oh,
but not only from the front.
oh, yes. There's two opinions. How do you measure? What is the main thing? So some say it has to be the actual lights. The lights have to be within this amount. Some say it goes by the menorah, the actual. So either way you do it, there is what to rely on. Now, somebody who does not have a mezuzah, they're staying in a hotel or they're staying in a house where there's no mezuzah, so you don't put it on the left, you put it on the right. So if you have a mezuzah, you put it on the left. That way you have the mezuzah on the right, the menorah on the left. If there's no mezuzah, the mezuzah is gone. The menorah takes the place of the mezuzah. Can I put it? How high can I put it? Is there a limit? What's the limit? 20 amas. 20 amas, which the exact amount of that, it's not maybe over here because you're not going to have such a big menorah. Okay. Can I arrange the candles in a zigzag? No, it has to be straight. What about a zigzag like this? One is higher, one is lower. No, everything has to be in a straight line. Yeah, very good. When is the time to light? Shkia. Over here it says tzeis, because if you open up a Shulchan Aruch, it says in the Seif HaShkia, the end of Shkia, which is tzeis HaKechavim, the later time, which is nightfall. But Minhag Chabad is to do it from Shkia. The reason for that is because there's opinions that hold that is the actual time. So if you light earlier and your candles stay lit from Shkia until nightfall, from the sunset until nightfall, you fulfill both opinions.
So that's why they do that 3:15 and 3:13.
That's a very good question. If you go to Shul and you'll see they light the menorah way earlier than sunset. How can you do that? The answer is because you're allowed to do it b'shas chak from Plag HaMincha, which is even earlier than that. You're allowed to do it earlier, so the candles that they light in Shul is not the mitzvah. It's a separate mitzvah of publicizing the miracles of Hanukkah. Nobody fulfills their obligation with those candles. It's just for the sake of Pirsumei Nisa, it's called, of publicizing Hashem's miracles. Therefore, they are able to light earlier. It's not a problem. Yes. Okay.
And how long was when the Yavanim
The whole,
Shaltu
I don't know. I don't remember offhand. I don't remember how long it was, but most probably it was quite some time because we everything in the book is, it all happened in one day, right?
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's probably for quite some time because there was gzeres for a long time. First they came and they gave the first set of the first decrees, then the next set of decrees. So for sure went on for a while, and by the time the Maccabees built up forces and fought, it didn't happen overnight. It was definitely a long process. Exactly how long, I'm not sure. I have to look it up.
What time is Shkia now?
4:30. Yeah, 4:29. I think today is 4:29. Yeah. Okay. Now, what happens if you went on Mitzrayim or you did whatever else you had to do and you didn't light the menorah on time and now you came back home and it's late? What do? You can still light.
If somebody's up.
Oh, very good. If somebody is still there, you need somebody to be there to make a bracha.
Have to be someone that didn't hurt?
No, anybody, because there's a special mitzvah together with remembering Hashem's miracle. Also, the purpose is Mishum Pirsumei Nisa, to publicize the miracle. So, in order to do the mitzvah fully, with a bracha, with a blessing, If it's after the Zman, then you should have somebody else there in order to make a bracha. So it's fine, you call your next door neighbor.
So a friend asked me if that's okay, if she does it on Zoom with her children that are.
Should be present, yeah. Meaning, no, if the lighting on time, you don't need anybody else there.
Oh, if you're lighting on time.
Yeah, you can do that, yeah, it's definitely better to bring people, for sure. But if this is talking about if somebody's lighting, they came home 9 p.m., 10 p.m., way after the time, so then you need somebody there.
What is on time?
On time is Shkia, or it says Shkia,
Exactly, Shkia.
within that half an hour, within that time,
Half hour.
yeah,
And
from
if you
Shkia.
bring someone Jewish that you have to put kippah, if you say amen.
It's better, or if he doesn't have a kippah, so he'll put the sleeve, not the head, the sleeve on the head, so for that second, that's his kippah.
But generally, if someone say amen to a bracha, you have to.
It's better, yeah. The reason is, it's because as if you're affirming exactly what the other person said, and he said Hashem's name. So it's better to have the kippah if possible. Okay, and as we just mentioned, if somebody is in a big rush and he won't be able to light by night, so you have from Plaga Mincha, which is, I'll check the exact time. Nowadays, it is, I'll tell you. Plag HaMincha is 3:30, actually exactly 3:30. So you have 3:30 Mincha, and right after they light the Menorah, so it's exactly on time. Okay. Now, what's coming to the actual time of lighting the Menorah? How do you set the candles and how do you light the candles? Oh, very good. You start with from right to left. You put the right candle first. The second night, you go to the left, add another candle. But when you actually light, you go from left to right. So again, setting up is right to left. Lighting is left to right. Which brachas did you hear last night? Anyone remember? Shulchan Aruch, yeah. Shechianu and Shasanisim. Exactly. Hanisim and then Shechianu. Tonight, when you're going to hear the brachas, what are you going to hear? Only the first two, no Shechianu. Why? Because the Shechianu, you're thanking Hashem that you're zeicha to reach the time where you're able to be kind of the mitzvah. So now you already reached the time, you already thanked Hashem. Now the brachas you're making are just on the mitzvah itself and not on the time. Now, what's our minhag? Do we start singing Alanissim as we're lighting the candles or after? After all the candles are lit. At that point, after, we start singing Al Hanissim. What happens if I put the menorah in a place where I did not fulfill the mitzvah? Let's say I put it above 20 amas, so high. Can I take it now and just put it lower? Does that do the mitzvah? No, the answer is no. Why not? Because the halacha is that the hadlaka, when you light, this is the mitzvah. The hadlaka is what does the mitzvah. So if you did it originally in a way that you did not fulfill the mitzvah, taking it and moving it to a place where you do fulfill the mitzvah doesn't help you, because that's not the mitzvah. The mitzvah is to light it. So you have to extinguish the light, the candles, and reignite it in the proper place. Okay, and I'll just give a few examples of what does it mean that you light it in a way that you didn't fulfill the mitzvah. Let's say, so the first example was if you put it way too high, that doesn't count. Another example it's important to remember is you need to have at the time enough oil. If you don't have enough oil at the time where you light it to last half an hour, then you have to extinguish it, then add the oil, and then rekindle the light. If you just add more oil, and then that doesn't do the mitzvah, you have to extinguish it, add oil, and then reignite the flame. Sorry, without a bar. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, the entire time of the mitzvah is the first half an hour. This, when it's burning, this is the mitzvah. And as we learned, that we are not allowed to have hana, we're not allowed to derive benefit from the candles at this time. So that's why the minhag is we put a shamash. What does this help? It helps accomplish the fact that if you are going to use the lights, you can say that you're using the light of the shamash and not the light of the actual mitzvah, the menorah. And as we mentioned earlier about lighting candles in a shul, you light candles in a shul because of Persumei Nisa, of publicizing the miracle, and you do make a bracha. Ladies have the same obligation as men do when it comes to this mitzvah, because even though, as we mentioned earlier, we know that anything which is mitzvah shazman grama, anything which is time-bound mitzvah, ladies do not have to do. When it comes to Hanukkah, it's different. Even though it's a time-bound mitzvah, if you miss the time, you miss the mitzvah. So why do they have an obligation? The simple answer is because the miracle was equally by them, just like by the men, and even more so, the salvation actually came thanks to Yehudis, to a Jewish woman, that she killed the general pretty much. She cut off his head and she showed, look, this is your general. And as soon as the army saw that they're an army without a head, they're an army without a general, the morale shot down and that was it. That was finished. Is a child, does a child have to light? If they reach the age of chinuch. Now, the age of chinuch varies. It goes by the child. If they understand what Hanukkah is and they know how to light, then you should be mechanech them. You should train them to do the mitzvah. So again, they're not actually fulfilling the mitzvah, but they're doing the mitzvah of chinuch, of learning how to do the mitzvahs. Somebody who cannot see, so it's dangerous to give them fire. Chas v'shalom can cause. So you help them to be mishtatif, the mishtatif, whatever it is, 5 cents. So they have a chelik, they have a portion in the mitzvah, and that counts. Comes Friday, and you have 2 mitzvahs in front of you. Ner Shabbos and Ner Chanukah. Which one comes first? Chanukah. And as was mentioned last week, the reason is, seemingly it's a contradiction. The halacha is tadir she'ene tadir tadir kedim, something which is more common, and something which is less common. Which one do you do first? The one which is more common. Shabbos candles comes every week, 52 times, whatever, depending on the year. You have so many times like Shabbos candles. Hanukkah is 8 times a year that you do the mitzvah. So the answer is that was given. It's very simple. As soon as you light Shabbos candles, you can't do any more malacha. So that's why this is an exception to the rule that first you light the menorah and then you light the Shabbos candles. Now, what happens late to Shabbos? After Shabbos finishes, you have 2 mitzvahs in front of you: Havdalah and Chanukah. Which one do you do first? Havdalah. Why? Oh, that's one thing. But let's say you don't have and you say Barcham Avdol. Why do you still do Havdalah first? Oh, so let's say you daven Ma'ariv, you said already after Chanukah. It's more common, exactly. So you daven Ma'ariv already. Let's say you said after Chanukah, you said you already separated between Shabbos and the weekday in davening. You still do Havdalah first because Havdalah is more common than Chanukah. That's why it takes precedence. Okay. The leftover shemen, the leftover oil after Hanukkah. Can you throw it out? Do you have to burn it? What's the deal?
You can burn it. You have to burn it unless you state that it's not.
Oh, very good. So you put oil in the menorah. Now you have leftovers. What do? As was said, the proper thing it's brought over here is to burn it after, because since it was set aside, it was miskatzer for the mitzvah, it was set aside just to fulfill the mitzvah. Therefore, it shouldn't just be thrown out in the garbage. You should just burn it, right? It's not disrespectful to burn it because that's oil. That's what you do with it. Throwing it in the garbage would be disrespectful. Now, there are opinions that hold that once Hanukkah is finished, it's not a problem to throw it out because it was never included. You only need the amount to burn for half an hour. Any leftover was never part of the mitzvah. But there are those that hold that no, you set it aside for the mitzvah, it should be burned and not thrown in the garbage. Together with that, if you made it tonight, even before you lit, you said any leftovers is not going to be sanctified, is not going to be leftover for the mitzvah, then even according to those who are stringent to burn it, they're going to agree that you can throw it out. So again, if you didn't say make any condition before you lit, you just lit it, the best thing is to burn it. If you did make a condition, you said any leftovers is not holy, it's not set aside for the mitzvah, then you're allowed to throw it out.
Also the wicks.
The wick's the same idea, burn it. But if you made it tonight, also
So
helps.
did you say that people burn it on Pesach or?
Oh, you can do that, yeah. Some people do it, some people will burn it right after. Yeah,
Okay.
there's no.
And what about the little, if you use the little things that are ready, the little plastic things and metal?
Oh, very good. So that's a very good question. That's so in the lechatchila to make it tonight that you're not
Throw them away?
throw them. Yeah, but to make it better to make it tonight. Before that, they're not, after Hanukkah, it shouldn't be chal on them because why is that? Because with the oil, seemingly the leftover, it never had anything to do with the mitzvah. So these cups, you did do the mitzvah with them because it held the oil. The answer is no, it only held it. It didn't actually burn. The mitzvah is burning and igniting it.
Okay.
This only held it. So if you make it tonight, make a condition beforehand, and it's not, there's no sanctity in it, you can throw it out after.
And you can do it, I can start today to leave at night, if I didn't make it yesterday.
Yeah, you can do it today, but for yesterday won't help that one, but for the future it helps, yeah. Okay. All right. Chaf Aleph, Halacha 21. Let's see inside, and hopefully let's finish the Siman. Halacha 21. Kol Shemenis Yemei Chanukah Eimrim B'Shemena Esra Al Hanisim. By davening, there's a special insert. Now, when we say Yalav Yavi for Reish Chodesh, we'll see that you say it before you say Maidim. When it comes to Al Hanisim, it's said after Maidim. It's important just for when you pay attention. In the Siddur, it's not like Yalav Yava, it's not like by Reish Chodesh, it's different. It's a little bit later. It's important to follow for these 8 days to follow in the Siddur to see where it's holding. What happens if you're davening and you completely forgot to say it? So Im Nizker Kedem Sha'amar Hashem Min Yabirchas Atev Shimcha Chulu Chayzer Maschalanu Nisim. So what do? You forgot to say Al Hanisim. You continued reading. If you remembered that you didn't say it before you began the next bracha, you go back and say it. Yeah, Avalim Lo Nizker Ad La'ach Sha'amar Hashem. Then Gamer Esa Bracha V'Einei Chayzer. If somebody already started saying Baruch Atah Hashem of the next bracha, as soon as he said Hashem's name, that's it. You finish the bracha and you go forward. You do not go back. Anyone remember what's the halacha by benching? If you didn't say it?
Don't say.
Oh, let's see. Very good. Let's see inside. Very, very good. Very, very good. That's the answer. If somebody by benching didn't say it and they already started the next blessing, you don't say it. You don't go back. Very good. So by davening, next time, that's right. Yeah. So by davening and by benching, when it comes to Al Hanisim, if you didn't say it and you already started the next bracha, you said Hashem's name, you go forward, you do not go back. If you didn't say Hashem's name yet in the next bracha, you do go back. Okay. Chav Beis, the 22nd halacha. Kol Shemini Simei Chanukah Geimrim as a Hallel. The entire 8 days by davening, we also say Hallel. Ein Eimri Leitachnon of Leikel Erechapayim, Leilam Natsech, Leititkas Chatzedek. So we say Hallel. We do not say Tachnon. We do not say Lam Natsech with the extra capital after Ashrei. We don't say any of these things on Shabbos by Mincha. There's a special insert that you don't say on days that you don't say Tachnon.
What is Tzidkei Chatzedek?
On Shabbat, on Mincha,
Ah,
there's the little insert, the 3 lines.
it's Tachanun, right?
It's a piece of Tachanun, yeah.
Ah,
So we don't say all of these things on Hallel. So anything which is Tachanun related is not said on Chanukah.
I think that Kriyat Shva Shalomita, you said.
You do not say
Shabbos
that.
one.
Yeah, you say the Shabbat, yeah.
I was looking
So
everywhere.
special.
Yesterday to find the-
Yeah.
We still say the long piece.
Which one?
Which one?
no Tachanun. It's the favorite.
No, you omit it. You omit it. That you sing Lama Tzech, the long one. No, you omit it.
Okay.
Yeah. Chav Gimel.
One question.
Yeah.
What is the last day to say Hallel?
The last day of Hanukkah.
But,
Meaning every day you say it,
yeah,
and the last day is the last day of Hanukkah. Chav Gimel. Kerem Chol Yom. Usually we only take out the Torah on Mondays, Thursdays, and Shabbos. But over here, Kerem Chol Yom Tlas Gavri B'Kabanis Nasim Sheb'Parshas Nasim. Every day we read from the Torah, and 3 people get an aliyah. Okay, so this is just going to tell you what chapters you have to read. This we're going to skip because it's printed in the Siddur. Chav Daled, B'Shabbos Chanukah, Metzina Shnei Sifrei Torah. This Shabbos is actually very, very special. We'll see in a second.
wow,
On the regular Shabbos, Hanukkah, you take out 2 Sifrei Torah, 2 Torah scrolls.
wow.
Berishim Kain Pashas Shavua. The first one you read the Parsha of that week. Ubesheni Hamafter B'Shal Chanukah Yemei. You read the portion of Hanukkah, the second Sefer Torah. Maftirin Rani V'Simchi. The Haftarah is a special Haftarah, which is printed. You'll see in the Chumashim. The Im Yesh Eid Shabbos Echad. If there's a second Shabbos, Maftirin Bei V'Malachim B'Denis D'Shleima. Okay. This is this year's Kviyos. But Reish Chodesh Teves B'Chel, on Reish Chodesh Teves, that happens throughout the week. Then might see in Shnei Sifrei Torah, B'Rishon Kedel Tlas Gavri, B'Shal Reish Chodesh V'Achakach Revi B'Sefer Torah Hasheni, B'Shal Chanukah Yemei, B'Shal Reish Chodesh Tader Tvei, V'Kamon Tader V'Sheni Tader Tader Kedel M'Chem Agim Reish Chodesh. I read it fast because it's not the gear for this year. Ein Tzrich L'Hafsik Elo Ha'il L'Gem Kriyas V'Achakach Chen L'Nishanim B'Shal Reish Chodesh.
Years was Chodesh, so we have three Sefer Torah.
Exactly.
Wow, so special.
Exactly. This year's Kviyos, we have 3 Sifrei Torah. So im Kader Rishen V'Shal Reish Chodesh Karaya L'Shatov Kader Gamas and Revir V'Shal Reish Chodesh V'Il Niskrim Yad Nachar Shabir Chakera. Okay, this is talking about the dinim if you read the wrong one in the wrong portion. But Chav Hey, this is this year's Kviyos. Chal Reish Chodesh Teves B'Shabbos. The Reish Chodesh falls out on a Shabbos, which is this year. The Reish Chodesh is on Shabbos and on next Sunday. Then Maitzin Gimel Sifrei Torah. You take out 3 Sifrei Torah. Berishon Kedel Shisha Gavre B'Parshas Shavua. The first Sefer Torah, you take 6 people. Usually it's 7 aliyahs to finish the entire parsha. This time it's 6 people to finish the entire parsha. B'Sheni Shvi Shal Reish Chodesh Metzchil B'Yom HaShabbos. Then the 7th aliyah start B'Yom HaShabbos Chodesh B'Yom HaShabbos B'Emim Chatzi Kadosh B'Shlishi Maftir B'Shal Chanukah Yemei Maftirin Rani V'Simchi. The second Sefer Torah, you do Reish Chodesh, and then you say Chatzi Kadosh. The third one, you read the portion for Hanukkah. So this is all, if you print down in 770, in the pamphlets for Kriyas Torah, all the instructions are clear there. The Afagav,
Haftarah is not so clear what we're doing.
it doesn't say it over there?
Well, it says 2 things, so I don't know why.
What does it say over there? Which
It
one?
says the Haftarah of the case first, and then it says first Shabbos of Chanukah, there is an Haftarah. But at the end, there is something else that I'm not sure it says, Faradi say that, and what do we do?
It doesn't say in the Chayenu. That's interesting. So then we do,
It's already custom, we do 3 things in Yafta.
so what does it say?
It's the Chavia and the Shaya
What's the first pasuk that it brings?
of what? And then
For
there's
the-
another thing and another thing.
Yeah, so we do Rani V'Simchi. That's we'll see, it's gonna be printed in the pamphlets. It's gonna start Rani V'Simchi. Okay, and Chavav, the last halacha, which is interesting. I don't know why it's brought here, but do you have the 26th halacha in your prints? Yeah. The Tazvav, B'Shvat, Rosh Hashanah Lilanis, Einem Rebbe Tachanan, V'Gin Laharbis, B'In Mini Penis Lilanis. I don't know why Tu B'Shvat falls out in the halachas of Chanukah, but it's here. So on the 15th of Shvat, it's Rosh Hashanah for the trees. You don't say Tachnun, and you eat fruits. That's the minute to eat more fruits. So that is the entire halachas Chanukah. It's important to study it, to review it. There's a few details that's not that hard. And I feel like Chanukah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.